you were all stretched out and ready for the biggest and saddest fight between two old people that you've ever seen, featuring the Shredder and He-Man. I'm Katie Petrick, and this is Healthy Republic. Let's get ready to rumble! At one podium, we have Donald He-Man Trump, and at the other podium, it's Nancy the Shredder Pelosi. That's what should have been announced as President Trump walked into the House chamber to deliver the State of the Union address on Tuesday night.
Madam Speaker, the President of the United States.
That's less enticing, but I get it. It's formality. Not that Nancy Pelosi seemed to care.
Members of Congress, the President of the United States.
Now, if we lived in a civil society and not America 2020, the Madam Speaker would be an actual madam, and she would have used the words honor and privilege during the introduction of the president, as is protocol. For Nancy to not acknowledge her privilege, especially while being white in skin tone and pantsuit, is simply unacceptable to the woke scolds. But as we know, her being a woke scold has its perks. This moment came just after President Trump seemingly snubbed the handshake that Speaker Pelosi half-heartedly attempted. You be the judge.
Oh, it looks like she went to shake his hand.
These two instances were just the warm-up to the all-out brawl that would ensue as the evening wore on. It wasn't quite physical punches, but the jabs were there. Trump led it off by presenting the State of the Union, which included some of the best economic statistics we've seen in decades.
Jobs are booming, incomes are soaring, poverty is plummeting, crime is falling, confidence is surging, and our country is thriving and highly respected again.
For the next 20 minutes, he hit on all of the economic highlights, and it was brilliantly optimistic for a vision of an America that includes you and me, not just a cesspool of Californication. The statistics within the address were almost as good as the CBS poll numbers that came from the overall speech, where 76% of Americans approved of the message. But Nancy wasn't having any of it. She was busy giving her own State of the Union to herself, or the devil on her shoulder.
You keep talking to yourself, people think you're crazy.
The best part of the night was a surprise that a wife and her two children received.
I am thrilled to inform you that your husband is back from deployment. He is here with us tonight, and we couldn't keep him waiting any longer.
I'm not crying. You're crying. Did you see that last bit? Nancy couldn't be bothered. She was looking down because she knew in just a few minutes her moment would be here, and she needed to prepare. Are you kidding me with that? Petulant. Petulant Pelosi. That's it from now on. Pelosi put all her might into that final blow when she tore the speech in half for the entire nation to see. But in doing so, she knocked herself out. And then, the very next day, President Trump was acquitted on both articles of impeachment that took Pelosi weeks to send over to the Senate. So while he may be impeached forever in her mind, he is acquitted forever in reality. It was a TKO, or so we thought. Pelosi was carried off to her corner, and someone dared to resuscitate her with a stiff drink and a fresh coating of Paladin. Still high from her drug-induced performance of Tuesday night, on Wednesday, Pelosi reportedly melted down about Trump's words and claimed the speech to be a reality show. According to Politico, Pelosi said, "He shredded the truth, so I shredded his speech. What we heard last night was a disgrace." And I believe her to the extent that what the American people saw Tuesday night was a disgrace. She earned her name of Shredder.
Where am I? More importantly, who am I?
Cowabunga, Nancy. Before we hang 10, we have another round of fighting to go. As the sun came up Thursday morning, we knew outright that Pelosi did melt down, and it was tragic and glorious, wrapped up in one press conference.
What happened instead was the president using the Congress of the United States as a backdrop for a reality show, presenting a state of mind that had no contact with reality whatsoever. It was appalling to hear him. And by the way, a serious breach to start shouting 4 more years on the floor of the House. Totally inappropriate.
2 words, Nancy. Term limits. But continue anyway.
It was necessary to get the attention of the American people to say, this is not true, and this is how it affects you. And I don't need any lessons from anybody, especially the President of the United States, about dignity. I think it was completely, entirely appropriate, and considering some of the other exuberances within me, the courteous thing to do. That was not a State of the Union. That was his state of mind.
And what state of mind would that be?
I'm in the New York state of mind.
Because he's from New York. Fine, let's wrap up her insanity. I saved the best for last.
Come on. So in any event, I feel very liberated. I feel that I've extended every possible courtesy. I've shown every level of respect. I say to my members all the time, there's no such thing as an eternal animosity. There are eternal friendships, but you never know on what cause you may come together with somebody you may perceive as your foe right now. Everybody is a possible ally in whatever comes next. E pluribus unum, from any one.
E pluribus unum is out of many one. Criminy. If you go back and listen to her entire weekly press conference while playing a drinking game with her use of the word appalling, you'll be as 3 sheets to the wind as she was at the press conference. Within that 27 minutes of nonsense, Pelosi sputtered through an insult on what Trump said Thursday morning at the National Prayer Breakfast.
I don't like people who use their faith as justification for doing what they know is wrong. Nor do I like people who say, I pray for you, when they know that that's not so.
The true TKO may have landed. Everything that Trump has said or done is nothing compared to what Pelosi did in empowering him these past few days. She built him up to become He-Man.
And I became He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe.
You have to admit, the hair is not that far off. Nancy needs to get a grip on reality, not perform a rip on the State of the Union. She needs to give a rip about her constituents, not take a rip out of their souls. As we move on to the next bout in this land of chaos, we will see if Nancy's rip foretold her own RIP. Until next time, stay healthy, America. Paper cut.